I like to teach the world to sing. Sing with me. Perfect harmony. Perfect harmony. I like to buy the world a Coke and keep it company. That's the real thing. I like to teach the world to sing. Perfect harmony.
All right, welcome to the third hour of the Elias Macko Show. We begin this hour by talking about cola. Now, do you remember the Cola Wars? Remember the Pepsi Challenge? Well, forget about Coke versus Pepsi. The real soda war of 2026 is actually happening inside the Coca-Cola family itself. Diet Coke versus Coke Zero. Now, Diet Coke remains a pop culture icon. Many people lovingly call it a fridge cigarette. And Coke Zero is exploding in popularity. It's marketed itself as more like real Coke without the old school diet image. The debate online has almost become tribal. Our next guest looked into it for the Wall Street Journal. Adam Chandler is food columnist over there. Adam, welcome to the program.
Thanks so much for having me, Elias.
And we've been very excited about this segment. Well, I've been very excited about this segment. In fact, I've got two glasses in front of me. My producer, Max, has given them to me, and I don't know what's what. I've got a Diet Coke. I've got a Coke Zero in my hands. I'll try them in a bit, but we're very excited about this. Why don't you tell our listeners first things first, why you said, I need to look into this? Well, what's going on exactly?
Well, I probably shouldn't say this, but I am a reformed Diet Coke drinker who jumped on the Coke Zero's train. And so I was curious about this because as I was explaining this change, I got so much feedback from other people who feel very strongly about it. And it's not just that people love Diet Coke or Coke Zero, it's that they actively hate the other one. And that's just a great set piece for a conversation about what it is about these two brands that are driving this passion and again this defensiveness that is so interesting. So I had to look into it.
And I wonder, it's curious, right? But for Coke, it's not like they're going to lose market share overall, right? If someone switches from Coke Zero to Diet Coke, or vice versa, I should say, I mean, they're still winning, but I know it does matter. Like when you look at shelf space in grocery stores, the fountain sodas, right? Like how many slots go to Diet Coke versus Coke Zero and that kind of stuff. This actually is serious business.
It absolutely is. It's a great question and a great point. You know, when you go into a dep and you are looking for a Coke Zero and you don't find it, maybe you end up picking a Pepsi Zero Sugar if that's available. And that's something that Coca-Cola obviously doesn't want. If there is such passion around the different variations more so than the brand, then that kind of changes things. That opens things up to kind of cross-brand defections that if you're Coca-Cola, you don't want to see anyone trying any Pepsi product ever or any of these other newfangled sodas that are promising similar tastes or health benefits. So it is complicated.
Now, Adam, you just dropped something on air that I'd be remiss if I didn't highlight. You said if you go to a dep, okay? So wait, are you in Montreal and we didn't know about this? Like, how did you know to drop dep and you did not say go to the corner store?
Well, you know, first of all, I love Montreal. I spent about 4 months there last year, and I'm just an enormous fan of the culture there. So I did have to drop it in part because it reminded me of bodega culture in New York City, where I currently live. So I love the idea of the corner stores. I love them as kind of these approachable places where you can get anything you want, and they are very similar, but also very different to the experience of a corner store in the States. So I was pleased to live among them when I was in Montreal.
Well, that Montreal fan right there is Adam Chandler, food columnist for the Wall Street Journal. We're talking about the battle between Diet Coke and Coke Zero. So where does it stand right now, Adam? What are the trends in the market? Who's winning this soda civil war?
Well, Diet Coke is holding on to this position as being the number one diet soda in North America and in the States. And what's interesting is that sales, not to rely too much on a pun, is, you know, they're flat. They're flat sales. However, zero sugar in Coke Zero's instance and all of these other new sodas that are coming onto the market have seen a lot of growth. So they are gaining on entities like Diet Coke and to a lesser extent Diet Pepsi. So you are seeing those changes, and that affects a lot of things when you think about when you go to a restaurant and, the default diet soda is Diet Coke and you're a Coke Zero drinker and Coke Zero is becoming more popular, there is a movement and there is an energy around whether or not these sodas should be available at restaurants, at sporting events, at places like that, to kind of supplement the market desire there. So it is meaningful to see these other beverages, especially Coke Zero, rise in popularity. And if I'm a Diet Coke drinker, I would be getting a little bit defensive if the places that I know would always have Diet Coke may not have it or may ultimately replace it with Coke Zero. And some of this comes down to generational preferences. Some of this comes down to certain markets and demographics. And so it's a complicated picture.
So, Adam, I'm going to ask you a question, and then I'm going to drink while you're answering. I'm going to drink both of these samples, see if I can figure out which is which. I want to ask you about the generational and the political. Not lost on me, the President of the United States is a big Diet Coke drinker. Younger people seemingly like Coke Zero better. Elon Musk tweets about Diet Coke all the time. So I'll have some drinks here, try and figure out which is which. What about those aspects? Generational, as you mentioned, and the political.
Absolutely. So Diet Coke has this affiliation sort of buttressed by all this marketing that they do around Diet Coke being something that power brokers drink and fashionable people drink. The way it was marketed in the early 80s, you had Hollywood models and celebrities and stars and singers, Whitney Houston, Mariah Carey, more recently Taylor Swift, behind Diet Coke campaigns. And Coke Zero is meant to sort of resemble more of something that, first of all, men will drink because a lot of men bristle at the idea of drinking something that has diet on it. But also the taste resembles regular Coke a little bit more than Diet Coke does. Which I hope doesn't ruin your taste test, but gives you some insight into how this breaks down. Some of it's generational and some of it's social, and it's a fascinating snapshot of the way that we eat and drink.
Adam, I'm going to bring the rest of the team in here. Our producer, Max, technical producer, Jay, they've got some beverages in front of them as well. I want Max to tell me, because I'm going to guess here.
Yep.
I believe L, the left cup, is Coke Zero, and I believe the right cup was Diet Coke. Am I right, Max?
You, sir, are correct.
Oh, I knew it. Wow. I could tell.
All right.
But you know what? Done. I thought it would be a slam dunk, but I actually I drank Coke Zero, and I said, Then I drank the Diet Coke. I said, oh, this tastes like Diet Coke. And then when I went back to Coke Zero, I tasted that familiar bite of Coca-Cola, and I knew it right away. Now, who else Jay, you're doing a taste test?
Yeah, I did one.
And what do you say?
I think the cup on the left is Diet Coke, and the one on the right is Coke Zero.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are 2 for 2.
Yeah, there's a distinct difference.
They are different.
Yeah.
And can I say, so because they're different, maybe, Adam, I'm just not like normal people. I go back and forth. I drink both. I like both. I'm not tribalist. I think that's what's going on here. Did you find those people as well that can go both ways when it comes to colas?
Yeah, looking into the story for the Journal, it was a lot of fun to actually try to find whether there were people who would drink both. And I did find one for the story, and I actually talked to Coca-Cola about it, and they said that 10% of people drink both, which is another fascinating thing to think about, that there is this very small group of people. So you are in rarefied company. Only 10% of people will claim to drink both, which I think is really, really interesting.
I do too. I can't believe the number is that small. Are people so close-minded they can't even try 2 different takes on a Diet Cola? Like, I find that unbelievable here. Adam, where do we wrap up here on this? What have we not discussed that came out of your piece of note?
Well, beyond the passion, which is so much fun, you can have a conversation with anyone about where they fall on this particular divide, and you will learn a lot about somebody. But there are distinct differences in the way that these sodas are designed to taste. But also, I learned that Diet Coke has a lot more caffeine than both regular Coke and Coke Zero, and that was news to me as somebody who just kind of blindly drinks and eats anything that's put in front of me. This was news to me, so I think that plays into some of the popularity of Diet Coke for certain drinkers, is that you really get that caffeine buzz significantly more than you would just by drinking Diet Coke or Coke Zero or regular Coca-Cola. So that's a little bit of news that I get into in the story that I found to be revelatory and interesting.
Adam, listen, I have a listener who brought up something on the text line as we're discussing. I've heard this before. I wonder if you looked into this. They say the Diet Coke from McDonald's specifically tastes better. Is that true?
That is absolutely true. They do keep all of their sodas refrigerated from the moment that they are kind of processed to arriving at the store to be mixed into the fountain. So that is an urban legend that is actually true. McDonald's does do something special with their beverages that makes them taste better. It's not just psychological, although if you're having fountain soda and you're looking forward to having McDonald's fries, then I think anything tastes better. I think it's also a trick because you get that as well.
Adam, listener, is going to Costco and they mix a quarter Coke and 3/4 of Coke Zero. Everyone's doing their own concoctions here. Thank you for joining us this morning, Adam. And it's great to talk to someone who loves this city, who's not necessarily from here. Thanks for your love of our city as well, and the Deconstructing drop.
Of course. It's an honor to be a fan.
That's Adam Chandler, food columnist for the Wall Street Journal. Take care, Adam.
You too.
Now, I'd be remiss if I didn't bring Maxime Cadot into this segment one last time, because Maxime, you worked so hard on this. You hoofed it to a depanneur in order to get these Coke Zeros and Diet Cokes. Would you have some final words on the taste? Because now you've drunk some from the cans here. What do you say?
To me, drinking from the can, the Diet Coke one feels like lighter when you drink it. Like I don't feel any type of sharpness when I drink it compared to the Zero.
In the end, they both taste like terrible Coca-Cola. Really?
Well, I find like it's so...
Because I'm a big Coca-Cola fan, but I don't drink it because I want to live the rest of my life without diabetes.
Too much sugar. That's right.
Yeah.
And I love bubbles, guys. Like the reason why I drink diet soda now is because I love bubbles. I don't want the sugar. And it's, I don't know if this is age or whatever. I used to hate Diet Coke, and now I like it. It's like, I don't know, my refined palate now appreciates a Diet Coke. All right, gentlemen, cheers to you. And thus ends our segment on Coke Zero and Diet Coke.
An iHeartRadio experience.
Jelly Roll, live in Quebec City at Festival d'été de Quebec.
Presented by Bell in collaboration with Coors Light.
You could win VIP tickets for two for July 19th.
With flights, hotel,
and $1,000 cash.
I'm wide awake and I'm dreaming.
Download the iHeartRadio app.
Listen to Pure Country for 10 minutes and enter to win.
Jelly Roll, live
at FEQ.
Every day you listen is another chance to win.